Welcome to the Lawson and Gift podcast. Make sure to hit that like button, share the videos, and subscribe. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody, and we're going to be giving our upsets for Week 13.
Well, everyone knows you as not Giftopedia anymore, but Mr. Upset. I remember when you went on here, this is the craziest moment of this year, and I'm pretty crazy. But the craziest moment of this year was when the Jets, struggling ragtag, were receiving the Cowboys they were riding the tidal wave of hype. You were thinking the Cowboys were going to win the Super Bowl. Jerry Jones is going to dab on people. You were thinking everything would be vindicated for Dak. Well, Dak's vindicated himself, but everything else has completely crashed ever since you picked the Jets against the Cowboys. You told people I made it a money pick on the spread. I'll give myself credit. I cashed in that game, but you did tell people to go on the money line. Like if you would have bet $10 on that game, the money line was so large that I think you could just cash in with like 90 for like $10. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was a big upset. And last week I had the Jets beating Oakland. It seems like a lot of the upsets have to do with the Jets, but in this week there's one that involves the Jets as well. And let's start though with Thanksgiving Day. And look, I understand that this might go in Chicago's favor, but I did pick Detroit to beat Chicago tomorrow, and a lot of it has to do with Mitch Trubisky. And I understand that the Lions are struggling right now, especially defensively. That's noted, and that's pretty clear. But I can't forget how bad Trubisky is. Would it really surprise you to see him go out there and lay an egg in this game? That's really where I'm at with it. I like Detroit a little bit better than Chicago, even though Chicago has the better team because of the defense.
Yeah, I don't agree on this one. I made it quite clear on the Vegas spread picks. I do not agree with this one. This Detroit gift, the way you framed it, you did get me a little bit worried. But come on, man. This Detroit offense hasn't stopped. This Detroit defense hasn't stopped anything in a really long time span. And Mitch Trubisky's really bad, and he is terrible. But are you going to tell me Jeff Driscoll is any sort of bank to make movement against still a very phenomenal Chicago defense that might not be all that motivated, but I think they're going to be motivated enough to beat him?
And we'll see. And that's a fair point, too, because obviously both the quarterbacks have some issue. But I look at their first meeting, and I think this season, and I think it was a close game, and I feel that's part of it, too. Who's to say that Detroit isn't going to get a little bit better offensive play in this game? And that's really where I'm at with it. I think that you look at Marvin Jones even. He's been playing really good. They're not going to need a lot in this game. Trubisky was only able to put up 20 on them the first meeting. Maybe it's a little bit worse this time around. And I wouldn't put it past Chicago. I think they're making a huge mistake going in the direction they are right now. They really need to just give up on Trubisky, and I think that's going to have an effect on the rest of the team. And with that, we're going to move to another Thanksgiving Day game. I know you don't have this happening, but I think it's pretty possible that Buffalo beats Dallas on Thanksgiving Day.
I like the spread for sure. I don't know if I have the gall to go Buffalo, given how much is riding on this game for the Cowboys. But it's interesting. It's something you have to consider. The payout would have certainly been better if I picked the Jets against the Cowboys instead of betting the spread. This is one I'm seriously considering betting the spread. You know, Thanksgiving's supposed to be a mellow day, football, Americana, family, if you can stand them. But anyways, Giff,
Just ask Aaron Rodgers about that.
Yeah, like I'm honestly, I know, God. Could you imagine if you lock them in a room? Could you imagine? I think there'd be a fight. I think him and his brother Jordan would fight. But to finish my point, I really do think that Buffalo can win this. It's just I don't know if I want that much tension on my Thanksgiving. I'm probably going to end up betting the spread, though. I kind of have to at this point.
Well, what I really like about that game, too, is that there's no pressure on Buffalo. like literally zero pressure. Nobody expects them to win. They don't even need to win it to get a wild card spot. Dallas, all the pressure is on them because you still have Philly. It's not like Dallas is running away with this division, and all the pressure that's on Jason Garrett. Even Jerry Jones, the pressure that's on him to make a move if things go south, and then Dak too, immense pressure on his shoulders. And this Bills team, it just seems to be getting better. Now, obviously, you can make the argument that they haven't played anybody, but the little things that I do see them improving on week in and week out, like stopping the run, getting better against that, keeping the turnovers down on the offensive side. And then another big reason, and my last reason, is Josh Allen in this game. I do expect him to have a big game. Maybe not so much through the air because he doesn't have a lot of targets, but I think we see some big plays from him on the ground.
I agree, Gaff. And
I got a third upset that I actually picked, and then I got one other one that I just want to bring up to entertain. But this one I picked, Cincy beating the Jets, and it obviously wouldn't be a huge upset because the Jets are playing really bad, but it's the fact that Cincy hasn't won a game yet. And we're both looking at this saying, wow, they might actually really go 0-16. There's a possibility. But now with Andy Dalton back in the fold, I got to think he's got some pride, and I think he's going to want to put up some points. And then I look at that Jets offense, and we've talked about it already. I don't trust it. Really, they're banking on Darnold to go out there and have a big game every week. And with the way Adam Gase calls plays, I'm not so sure that that's going to happen in this game. I like Darnold, but I don't think he's going to tear it up. And I think the Bengals do just enough offensively to get this W.
I like the Bengals too. I'm sticking with the Jets to win this, but this one is very, very enticing. I want to give the people one that I want to just mention real quick. We have to consider this an upset given the point spread. San Fran against Baltimore. That's one that it might be the most likely one to happen. I think the Bills is the most likely one to happen. Cincinnati's second, but I think this is the third, given the point spread if you look at it.
Yeah, I think with how good Baltimore has played, I agree. I would be, even how good the 49ers have played, I would be pretty surprised if the 49ers pulled that game out.
Who's your last mention? Who's your honorable mention?
I think people should flirt with betting this one, and it's the Rams getting upsetted by the Cardinals. I think it's a strong possibility, Lawson, because I really feel like the Rams may have lost the locker room. Maybe not because of McVay, but the way Ramsey was acting and the way this offense is playing. I think, that to me is what's causing all this.
I think maybe McVay is losing this locker room. Remember, we had those conversations going into his first season. We said, did they add too much? Were there too much personalities? He doesn't really seem like he could insert dominance over a person or even be cold to a person. So that is a question. I agree with you. And then when we were between shows, I was watching a video and I saw Jalen Ramsey not make a tackle. Like he literally just stopped and kind of did this. Then when he ran down the field 5 yards, once two people other contacted him, he kind of gave him like a little tap and fake like he was going down.
It's a problem. It's a huge issue. And with considering what they gave up for him in draft capital and where they're at now, man, a lot of anxiety in the Rams organization right now. Couple that with the huge contract that they gave Goff, adds to the anxiety, and they're digging themselves into quite a hole.
Giff, I'd rather have a locker room that, Giff, I love personalities. We don't shy away from risk. Like, we were really excited about the Raiders this year, getting Incognito and Burfict and Brown. You know what? It kind of backfired, but it kind of didn't, because Incognito has helped Josh Jacobs get to where he's at. With Richie Incognito, that locker room wouldn't be what it was. But these are risks when you sign people like Jalen Ramsey. And, man, I'll tell you what, I'd rather have a locker room that is united and has chemistry than Bill Belichick. That's how important it is for me. People have to want to fight, especially in this sport. Like, and for me, like soccer and NFL, if your locker room's not united, you're just going to get exposed.
Really good point. And then another point I want to make too, and I don't even think I'm going to the extreme here, but if you're looking ahead, and I don't think the Rams are going to make the playoffs. I don't think there's going to be a magic spark that happens. But even looking to the offseason, if you're, let's say you're a Dolphins fan, wouldn't you rather be in their shoes right now when you're thinking about the offseason? You got a ton of draft picks. You got a coach that has the team fighting, but with the Rams, they're in the hole with Goff's contract. They're in the hole with the capital with Jalen Ramsey.
The Goff contract's the big thing. It's like the Gurley one is bad, but it's not the end of the world. You can get out of it quicker. But this Goff one is bad. And that's where I pivot back to Arizona. Man, this locker room's together.
Yeah.
I don't know if Cliff Kingsbury can do this 3, 4, or 5 years, but at least there's hope. At least there's fight. At least there's high energy, even though sometimes they look like trash.
Yeah, and I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself with the Rams and talking about the offseason, but I'm just thinking, how are they going to add anything? They don't.
Isn't that where we're at for them?
Yeah.
I mean, the window's closing. I mean, the room's closing in. They're in a ship container now with very little oxygen.
No draft picks, no money to spend. So they're not going to be able to add a whole lot. And then, like you mentioned, the Cardinals. They're playing the Rams this week, and we got that. I just said that upset, but I think. Going forward, they're in a better position because they're trending upwards. They're building their team the way, they have a vision. They didn't lose the locker room, like you said. I don't know. If I was in their shoes, I would feel more optimistic. Right now, if you're the Rams, man, it's a bad spot to be in.
Subscribe, hit the like button, share the videos, the Lawson and Gift podcast.